everyone, I'm Allie with Potomac Beads. Join me as I show you how to make these open elegant earrings using SuperDuos and MiniDuos. If you need any materials, look below the video in the description. We always put a link there back to our site, which gets you all the materials listed, and you can see different color variations and everything there. Gather up your materials and let's get started. So for this simple design, we're using two-hole beads. We're using the Round Duo Minis and the Aztec Gold and the SuperDuo beads and the White Baby Blue Luster. In addition to that, I have these little tiny 2mm crystals, some 2mm pearls, and some 15 OC beads. We're keeping this really simple with a wire guard on the top and starting out with a size 11 or 12 needle. The reason is because those 2mm pearls are tiny. They also have a little bit of a tail on them because of the coating process, and you don't want to break them. So make sure you have a little bit of a smaller needle. I have green thread on here so you can see it a little bit more, but you can certainly use white as well. To begin, I've put onto my thread and needle 4 of my SuperDuo beads along with 4 of my Round Duo Minis afterwards, and I'm simply going to tie this into a knot, just leaving enough thread to tie another knot once we finish the project. From here, I'm going to go back through my first SuperDuo bead and give kind of a nice tight pull there. And then I'm going to step up from that first hole coming out of the SuperDuo to the second hole coming out of the SuperDuo. Second hole coming out of the SuperDuo, I'm going to add another SuperDuo and sew through the second hole of the Round Duo Mini. I'm going to do this the whole way around, adding a second SuperDuo that sits basically in between each of my designs here. So on goes another SuperDuo and into the second hole of the first SuperDuo that was there. Another SuperDuo into the Round Duo Mini. You're adding in a total of 8 new SuperDuos here, going around in the circle. And make sure, just precautionary, that you don't have any thread that gets twisted around as you're doing this. You also want to make sure anytime you're using a multi-hole bead that both holes are open in the piece. Sometimes when they're being coated or treated and tumbled, a little bit of shrapnel or a little bit of the coating can get stuck inside. So make sure that you kind of make sure that they are open and easy to use. From here, going back to the beginning, we're going to add one more SuperDuo. Go back through that first SuperDuo that our thread was originally coming out of. And I'm also going to go back through that first SuperDuo that I added through that first hole. Now we're going to go around one more time and we're going to add a 15 pearl 15 to sit right above that Round Duo Mini. So 15 and a pearl. Sometimes the twos can be a little bit tricky. Another 15 and then into the next trifecta of SuperDuos. First hole of the second row, second hole of the first row, and that just kind of puts those right on top. This is a nice simple design. You can do a lot of variations with it. And no matter how much extra I wanted to add, I kept going back to the simple design. Back through those 3 SuperDuos then, second hole of the middle one, first hole of the other 2. We're doing everything we do here 4 times as we rotate around our earring. You can also make this into a bracelet if you want to by connecting them at the corners or into a necklace as well. As you add your last little collection here of your seed beads that sit right above the Round Duo Mini, you're going to go through all 3 of those SuperDuo beads also and bring your thread and needle out. We're going to step up now to the outer edge or that outer hole of our second SuperDuo bead. In between the SuperDuos, we are going to add a 15, a 2mm crystal, and a 15. On the exterior, we're doing 15 pearl, crystal, pearl, 15. So right here, we're going to do a 15 crystal, 2 or 3mm, and a 15, and into the next bead there. In that open area here, going right above the pearl, 15 pearl, 2mm, pearl, 15. So smallest to biggest, and then over to the second hole of the next SuperDuo bead. Same thing here, going the whole way around, adding in those seed beads around the corner. Like I said, I love these multi-hole beads because they allow you to create really quickly and easily right away and come up with your own design. Going in then around the corners here, we're going the whole way around, adding in that design. Now you'll notice that it's kind of not quite squared. We're going to correct that. It's a little bit kind of more rounded. We're going to correct that as we go around the corners and add one more row of our pearl and 15-0. So continue adding in your grouping of 5 beads above the pearl and your group of 3 beads between the SuperDuos. As you add in the last of your pearls here and your crystals in the corner, you'll notice that I sewed back through the first 15 to 15 that I added. I'm also going to sew through the next SuperDuo, 15, and pearl, coming out prior to the 2mm crystal that sits on all the corners. When we come out there, what we're going to do is add a 15, another pearl, and a 15, skip over the crystal, and go into the next pearl 15. Through the next SuperDuo, through the next grouping of seed beads. And what this does is really kind of corner this off and make it into that squared pattern. Wiggle your needle and thread over. So you're coming out through that corner. When you're coming out of the 2mm pearl, 15, 2mm. They're stuck together, just kind of move them. Static electricity is a real thing with the 2s. Over, skip over that 2mm crystal, over to the next pearl, and then straight across through all those beads. Sometimes you can get lucky and sew straight across. Sometimes your needle will come out a little bit. As you go around then and add those corners in, we're going to get ready to add the top of our piece. Now the top of our piece, when you're looking at it here, can have an additional little SuperDuo on top. If you don't like it to sit that far off, you don't have to add the little SuperDuo. If you want a little bit more gold at the top, you can also add a round duo instead of a SuperDuo. Again, those nice beads that allow you to be flexible with those multi-holes. Wiggling here, I'm coming out to the last one here. You can see that nice square starting to happen. Nice tight pull. 15, my last of my 2mm, and a 15. And then skip over to my next corner, basically. So I'm going to wiggle over here through my beads up to the next corner. You have that starter thread there, just kind of push it out of the way. We will go in and we will knot everything together there. Here I go, up to that corner bead and right out the top. Once we get out the top there, we're going to get ready to add, again, one more of our SuperDuo bead and then 2 more of our pearls. Coming out that top 2mm pearl now, we're going to add 1 and 2 of our 15-0s, followed by 1 of our SuperDuo beads, another 15-0, and then 1 more pearl. And of course, I need 3 more 15-0s poured out here. Push those beads down next to your piece here. Grab your wire guard or your wire guardian. You can also do a soldered ring if you want to, rather than a jump ring. Jump rings you don't want to use because they have an opening and you don't want your thread to escape. You can see I'm going down through my wire guard. It's like a U channel and it has little tubes on either side there. Coming out of it, I'm going to add a second pearl just for a little bit more of that pearl look at the top. Before the pearl, or after the pearl rather, I'm going to add a 15. Go through the SuperDuo as well. Go through 1 and 2 15s, and then through that pearl. There you have the earring done. You can see that I went into the opposite side of the pearl, so that way it sits in the middle. You can go ahead and reinforce going back through all of those beads there that sit in the top. And then after reinforcing, you're just going to snake your needle and thread back through the side here, through the SuperDuo, downgrade from the top hole to the bottom hole into the interior, and just tying off those thread ends. When you tie off those thread ends, then you can take your thread burner, burn them down, and the only thing we need to do is grab some ear wires. When you grab your ear wires out of your container here, you're going to open them from the back. So I'm going to kind of slide it to the side. And if you can't fit them on here, I had no problem. You can slide it up through the back and close it. There's no sides here, top or bottom with this one. You can, if you want to, put a little Monty or something extra in the middle, but it's just a nice, simple, cute SuperDuo earring. Thanks so much for joining me in creating these Open Elegance earrings. It's a fun way to use the multi-hold beads and some 2mm pearls, which I don't use that often. If you need any materials, go ahead and look below the video in the description. We'll put links there to get back to the website so you can shop and get all your supplies if you need them. Also see more of those details for the exact sizes, colors, etc. Remember, if you haven't yet, hit that little subscribe button here in the corner so you don't miss anything from us here at Potomac Beads. Thanks so much for watching and stay tuned for more inspirational designs.